All right. Netflix is getting sued because of those crappy subscriber numbers. This is not surprising to me, given because it's a publicly traded company, right? So it says Netflix is continuing its sudden, somewhat shocking transformation into the Charlie Brown of the streaming world this week.
What does that mean?
I don't. Sad. Is Charlie Brown sad?
I thought it was like
No.
a classic thing. I thought like it's been syndicated
Are
everywhere.
they saying that Charlie Brown has been?
Perhaps.
Are they saying it's what?
Well, here's the
It's
first rule of
tricked?
if you're making some type of comparison or joke, if people don't understand what it is, you have failed as the joke writer.
Did you get it though?
I didn't get the reference.
Okay.
I mean, I assumed maybe it meant that he's out of touch.
Let's find
Or
out.
it's out. Yeah, like because Linus is
Out
the
of
one
touch.
Linus is the one who has the cloud, the dirty blanket, right? Linus.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No. Pigpen is different from the
Pigpen is dirty, and then Linus has the blanket and plays piano, and then there's that dog
Is
and
there-
the bird.
Wait, the kid
Every-
plays piano is different from the
Oh,
kid with
is
the
he?
blanket. I guess I'm the Charlie Brown expert here.
Yeah,
I'm-
but you didn't get this reference.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll say so. If there is a Charlie Brown enthusiast.
Getting on a
We're not even a-
huge tangent.
We're not even a full sentence into this article.
Okay. So, well, I'm just blaming the writer here.
Come
Sorry.
on, AV Club, pull it
Says-
together.
Which is just a few months ago was riding a high as the established apex predator of the streaming universe is now getting sued by its shareholders for those crappy subscriber numbers that it posted back in April. Specifically, the company's investors are pissed at what they're claiming was a deliberate attempt to mislead them about whether the streaming entertainment company was going to be able to hit subscriber goals it set for itself in Q1 of 2022. In an earnings call in April, the company announced it had lost 200,000 subscribers during the quarter and expects to lose even more in quarter two. So they're not even
They're
pretending.
like, look, it's over.
like,
We're out.
well, okay. So my first question is like, is this simply a result of like a pandemic bubble bursting? Like, is this everyone was home alone?
Oh yeah, they were like mega enriched by everyone being forced to just consume media all day.
There are a couple companies that have had this problem. Peloton has
Peloton
laid off
had
a
this,
ton, and
yep.
then Wayfair is having a really rocky quarter. And I think
Oh.
that it's
And
a
rightfully so.
It's a furniture ordering company, and people ordered a bunch of work from home desks and stuff like that.
ordering
Oh, sorry.
company.
Furniture ordering company.
I appear to have walked into something, but I will say that they just announced their CEO is retiring. And again, there's
Probably
a couple,
to a non-extradition country, if you ask me.
Is he the Charlie Brown?
He
of
is the
furniture
Charlie
companies?
Brown of furniture
Can we just
delivery
use that
companies.
however we want? Because I don't really get it.
Because we don't get it. That's right. And of
They
course,
get new. I'm wondering about this because they get new subscribers every quarter too. So,
But it's not offsetting.
is it
the
a net loss or are they still gaining?
I think it sounds like a net loss because they wouldn't care about it if
And it
it was
would-
a net gain.
and it would likely have a lot to do with region of subscriber gain or loss, right? So it depends on like gaining subscribers in one district or one region of the world is different than gaining them in another region.
Well, and think of how many things have like grown during the pandemic and how many new streaming services have launched less. I
Right.
mean, didn't Peacock NBC's launch during the pandemic?
Or
like just
Disney
before?
Plus did at the very beginning of it in 2019. Peacock, I don't know if that was into.
I just
they-
remember the Office left Netflix
Yep.
at the end. I think the end of 2020, and it was because I thought it was because NBC's streaming service was launching, and that's such a big powerhouse for them.
So the stock price, so the biggest drop of stock price to date, plunging roughly 50 billion in value. 70%. What was it? It's like 70% stock drop. Like that's insane. And it says this is one of the biggest drops in the company's stock price to date, plunging nearly 50 billion in value. Shareholders are claiming to be blindsided by the loss with accusations that Netflix made, quote, misleading statements and failed to disclose on the oncoming drop. So would that be, is that a requirement of them as a publicly traded company to give them heads up ahead of time that the drop is coming?
How could they have known that?
They do forecast like each quarter, like quarterly reports saying like this is what's coming. Here's what we know. Like sometimes you'll say our CEO is going to retire at the end of the year, and that might cause speculation that our stock is not as strong or the company's going to have bad leadership. So you might see a dip in stock. So there might have been something that's not insider trading they could have warned them about.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So they have to do forecasting models, right? About like where things are going to go, presumably.
Yeah, and like being able to look at your shareholders or like your board member shareholders and say like, we know that 4 other major streaming services are launching right now, so we expect that there will be some cancellation. Or like I don't know. Netflix might know that at certain points of the year, people tend to cancel their subscriptions.
Okay.
Like, let's say maybe summer. Right?
I'm
feel like they're
ignorant to
traveling
how
more.
these predictions are made and what they're supposed to inform their shareholders of. And I thought that like shareholders would just be litigious and like happy to sue.
I think it's
But maybe it's justified.
I think it's a combination. I think there are things they can do to be like, here is an accurate portrayal of where our business stands in the market. And it sounds like they are arguing that Netflix like intentionally omitted things to try and like portray it as a more successful company when they were aware of like problems that they were facing.
This arises me the ghoulish nature of like the world we live in now, where Netflix is like, I'm picturing the Netflix CEO, kind of Scrooge McDuckish, like praying the pandemic goes on and lobbying for lockdown measures to continue because they know that it is advantageous to their business model to do so. I mean, everyone knows that a Walmart will do that because it's, you know, if you can keep all the other stores closed, you can gobble up even more of the market share. But imagine like it's infested every aspect of your life. So anything that you grew to do more during the pandemic, there's likely a business owner or worker, you know, somebody who with investment in a company that's hoping that the misfortune of the world continues so that they can continue making money.
Well, and like some of these things that we did during the pandemic are inflated. They are not how we would normally behave without them. And so without a plan in place to retain users. So like, let's go to Peloton as an example. Like if a ton of people were like, I can't go to the gym, I can't work out. There was a time when like we all weren't supposed to go outside either, like craziness. But so more people bought Pelotons because it was their only way to get the kind of maybe fitness they were paying for outside the home. And so unless Peloton converts their users into diehard fans, it is likely that people will be like, well, I actually would rather go in person to a class. And so I will get rid of Peloton and my bike or whatever else. Like they probably would have expected a loss. Whereas Netflix, like it's like a peak high. And I think with streaming services, they expect it to be something that you sign up for and forget, maybe. Like,
oh, that's a big
but they
part of
keep
it.
raising the price. So
They
how
can't
are
forget
we
it.
gonna forget?
They raise the now.
and there are new competitors all the time. Like you're constantly reminded, oh, well, I could pay for this one. I already paid for Netflix, but that one sounds better.
And all of these
so-
competitors, I hate to say this because you two are definitely like way more capitalistic than me, but it makes me wish that some parent company would just come along and buy up all of the streaming services.
Netflix,
so I wouldn't have to like
that would be impossible because they're all
subscribe to things within subscriptions and subscribe to like 10
I
different
hate that.
things.
I don't like subscribe to anything because I find it so
and they have like
annoying.
micro subscriptions within it. Like it's never ending.
It's like Audible on like I pay for if I pay for Amazon Prime, I can't listen to audiobooks without more subscriptions. Like stop. I don't like it.
you would never be able to do that because they all have their own parent companies. Netflix is its obviously its own company.
Not
Disney
when
is
Mary
its,
gets to the top.
Disney is its own parent
just buy 'em
company.
all.
HBO Max is owned by Warner Media, which is owned by Discovery. Hulu is a subsidiary of Disney, or at least Disney holds majority stake in Hulu. And right now, the biggest winner I've seen coming out of all this, and even they're not immune to it, and that's another thing I want to talk about, is Warner Discovery, which just axed all of TBS programming, all of TNT programming, and is just cut out a bunch of like their stuff and they're getting rid of stuff left and right because they're consolidating down under the Warner Discovery brand. And David Zaslav is like literally taking a machete to everything that they don't need. And what you see with Netflix is like, is this is it played out as the term is get woke, go broke. Like for the most part, if I look at this, when I look at articles like this, it says Meghan Markle made Netflix rethink multi-million-dollar deal, go woke or go broke. That's
go woke or go broke.
That's a horrible. Some of these companies are doubling down on this type of stuff, and they don't realize. Like I pulled up. This is kind of the story of two different ideas for me, which is like you look at this and you roll your eyes. Meghan Markle doing a cartoon, an activist cartoon. Nobody cares. No, like
right.
I argue.
Were they going to make a huge profit off of that?
And they're giving huge deals to these people. But then you look at a movie like The Adam Project, which is a Ryan Reynolds movie with Mark Ruffalo, who I can't stand Mark Ruffalo, but Jennifer Garner, Mark Ruffalo.
He can't stand you either.
That's fine. I can live with that. And you look at a movie, and it's a very, very simply told. It's like a time travel sci-fi movie, but it's basically about family, and it's very, very inoffensive. And it's not politically anything. It's just kind of an adorable story about a guy like who meets his younger self and then goes on an adventure. And that becomes the 4th highest ranking movie of all time on Netflix. And all of the rest of like the top movies are like Six Underground, which is objectively an awful movie, but it's politically inoffensive. It's just a popcorn thriller, right? And what I found is that companies like Netflix, what they're doing, they do American movies better, but when it comes to TV shows, none of the American TV shows are what you want. What you want are the foreign released TV shows, because when the American TV shows go past one season, or even like if it's a long season, they start delving into crappy woke identity politics at some point.
But look, Cuties, which was a French movie, I mean, it's not a television show, but Cuties drove people away from Netflix in droves in 2021. I mean, they are decision
in like the hundreds of thousands.
I think pretty significantly. I mean, maybe those people came back,
but the stock bounced back and all.
It bounced back, but I think is a testament to this trend of people being like, I don't know that I like this company, and if there are enough market options, they don't need to consume media through Netflix. Like for a while, Netflix was sort of a juggernaut. Like it didn't have competitors that functioned as well. And now I just think that's not true. And so this like go woke or go broke concept is faulty, and they see that time and time again, and sticking by it is sort of ridiculous.
Red Notice is the #1 movie of all time on Netflix. Completely inoffensive. Like it's like Ryan Reynolds seems to be a very common denominator here. He's like he's just very vanilla in his comedy. Deadpool is like the extent of his like edgier stuff, and even that's not really all that edgy. Don't Look Up is like the one example of like somewhat politicized theater, but the rest of it is Bird Box, which is just a copy of. It's just their version of. A Quiet Place, except for vision, and it was really bad. The Adam Project, Extraction, are all just very generalized stories people don't want to be preached to. And I think that what you find is that if they started making more stuff like that and less stuff like Archive 81, which objectively I thought had high points and low points, but was just plodding and slow and boring, and they spent $17 billion on content last year. I don't know how much Warner Studio spends or Disney spends on content every year, but I think it's just oversaturation. There's just too much. Mm-hmm. The reason, if you look at the greatest lists of like the greatest shows of all time, it was just a smaller market cap and there was more cultural influence because there was less to choose from.
I was thinking like it used to be the case that a TV series could like in a way take the country by storm. Like everyone would be able to talk about something, but
the last time that happened, it was Tiger King on Netflix.
Yeah, and that was just because we were all forced to,
because we had
to watch it. And I
go.
didn't watch it. I still
I've watched
am proud
it
of that
twice, all the way through.
Twice?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Look, it was bizarre. I like did not. It's such a weird concept. I don't regret it at all.
Okay.
But like the thing about it is like we were all home, like in the way that in pre-internet age you would come home at 8 o'clock was primetime television because everyone was home.
You also didn't have a cell phone where
your
coworkers can call you or email you.
You didn't have your own laptop to go sit.
Right.
Like if you're a teenager, you're watching either TV with your family or you're not watching it at all, but you're not like streaming your own movie in your room. You know what I mean? They're able to capture a much wider audience.
So it's spread out over more. Like it would be interesting to look at unique users per viewing, per show, right? Because you just can't. Like I looked at all these canceled Netflix shows. I was thinking of a way to implement it into this article.
Wasteland.
I hadn't even heard of like 75% of them. Like most of them were things that made like, and I was like, who wants this? Like nobody wants this.
The success of shows right now like Bridgerton or Euphoria, like those are the ones that come to mind. It feels overinflated because I don't think that many people are actually watching them.
Yeah.
No, it's an echo chamber.
Dead internet, by the way.
Yeah. I also think that like they're sometimes when Netflix makes decisions about how much they're going to cost, it comes across as arrogant to me. So when they were like, we're going to crack down on password sharing.
Yeah.
Like,
you and what army?
Also, like, do you need to make that much more money? Like your content's not doing well on its own. You're going to drive people away to platforms that don't care as much if people password share.
So they talk here about most sampled shows based on a previous metric of like accounts that actually checked out the show. That's now they go by watch time. But for this, Squid Game was number 1 with 142 million accounts. Bridgerton number 2, which is 82 million, but that's still like way less than number 1. Lupin, which was a French heist series, 76. The Witcher is the first one that's like purely American, at least as far as its production, I believe, at number 4. And then Maid, number 5, never heard of it. La Casa de Papel, never heard of it.
No.
Like all of these things. So you have to look at like where they're getting their information. Another thing that's funny is like I looked at all of this information. No, it's not on any of them. Is Ozark, which is on season 5. So why does one show get that approval? Like maybe that's just a misrepresentation here, like they just missed it. But it's like, how does the show, because Netflix has a hard time getting anything past season 2 or 3. How does Ozark get 5 seasons? Is that because Jason Bateman has more pull in the production department? Like what allows a show to get to 5 seasons?
Well, and it's popular. Like
but I'm saying it's not ending up on any of these lists. Cobra Kai is on here a bunch for like another one that's like found a way to do like modern, but not politically. It's very, very good in the way
it's not Karate Kid, but woke now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's if I was to give somebody like the blueprint for trying to do a reboot or a remake and to do it in a way that would not offend Hannah Claire, I would show them Cobra Kai.
In fact, they even did a good job of nodding to the fact that they're subverting that expectation in the show.
The Johnny character is literally designed to do that.
Yeah,
like where he's like
like I feel like a crazy like out of touch old man too, dude.
Yeah,
like, I don't understand the internet.
It's like the whole time society's been trying to break you down. Light beer. It's like diets. It's like women's lib. But it's done in a way that's like he's not a good guy, he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
So Netflix, that's a rare example. Like this, we're talking about culturally significant shows. You're not gonna hit 100 on. You're not gonna bat 100 percent on all of those shows, and they're just making so much content, and they're being outdone right now. 17 billion Netflix just spent while getting sued. Disney spent 33 billion on new content. So I don't know where this lawsuit goes, but do you think, is this something where you can see them having a case? There would have to be some type of evidence that they withheld something that they needed to disclose to them, I suppose.
Would they be compensated for damages?
And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how they would prove that in court, or if any of these people would have the money to take on a company the size of Netflix in that type of setting.
Yeah.
So as to what Netflix intends to do about these subscriber issues remains to be seen, although there are spreading concerns that the company's approach is landing on the decidedly myopic side. For one thing, co-CEO Reed Hastings has now repeatedly suggested that its best revenue option in the U.S., where subscriber base is probably about as saturated as it's going to get, is to try to catch and charge people sharing passwords. So making Hannah Claire all the angrier, I am sure.
Yeah, good idea. Just piss people off.
Yeah, I'm not even angry about it. It just seems like sort of an unnecessary step. I mean, maybe I get that the point is to grow and to make more money, but like maybe do something that's not going to drive people away from your platform, right?
Right.
Maybe
and also, I'm still sharing my account, so screw you, Netflix.
Yeah. No, I mean,
and I'm sure we all are.
People are going to do anyways. Or if they make it impossible to not, you're going to be like, well, that's too expensive and I don't want it anymore. They're going to move somewhere else. So
what
like,
is it at this point? Like $12 a month?
It's getting
more?
It's more. It's like 15, I think.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So.
It doesn't make any sense. And like, I think that in some ways, like, they should make better content. Maybe they should cut down. Or be
I
more
think cutting down.
selective.
I think cutting down on content and being more selective.
Gouging your users is not going to solve the fact that people are leaving.
Yep.
But who am I to tell the Netflix co-CEO Reed Hastings what to do?
It's funny that they're like gauging success by watch time when they literally have an autoplay feature that you can't turn off.
It's very mean.
When you're like just scrolling
And I wonder,
through it autoplays, and then if you
wonder
like,
if that
fall
would
asleep,
come up.
it autoplays.
Yeah, I wonder if that would come up. Be like, you said this is the most important metric, but that's not even accurate. Like, there is stuff where I think this case could be really interesting to hear because, again, Netflix is sort of the industry leader. developed online streaming in this way, and so how they measure success. I mean, do you guys remember when you could like rate it out of like 5 stars, and then it would be like, oh, based on what you like, here's what we go, and then that went away, and it's like, oh, suggested for you.
Now you can do thumbs down, thumbs up, and thumbs double up.
See, I don't think it means anything though, because they're like Netflix suggests stuff to me that I would never watch ever. And like
proof that AI is far, far away. That's what that's proving.
If they just infer that you're a young woman,
or it's just like
give
they
you
want
some
this.
suggestions.
Like they suggest Cobra Kai to me all the time. I have never seen the first one.
You should watch it.
They just I give them very little information. Well, I don't have Netflix anymore, but like I give them very little information, and they're like, we really want this show to do well, so you should watch it, and you should watch it, and you should watch it, and you should watch it.
Well, they're also probably more likely to suggest their original content than stuff that's...
I knew it was going downhill when they started shifting to their original content, and at the same time kicking off all of the stuff that they had before.
The only way to grow their business model was never going to sustain with licensed content once other companies started making their own services. That was just never going to happen. So
instead, they're going to punish the people who stick by them by charging them even more.
Exactly.
I remember $8 a month.
Yes.
Who remembers?
All right,
Pepperidge Farm remembers. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.